All right, Secret Invasion. Here is my here's my first thought about this. Samuel L. Jackson should be ashamed. This is shameful. This series, Nick Fury in Iron Man 1, in Avengers, in Winter Soldier. Nick Fury is a badass. He is a man. He is a leader. He is a tactical thinker. He is a genius, super spy. He is an expert fighter. He is superhuman skilled. He is powerful. He never comes across on screen as doubting himself. He even has a voice of moral authority, even when he's wrong. In this show, Secret Invasion, he is a whiny victim of racism. He is a sad old man. He is slow. He is snuck up on. Dude, he's Pedro Pascal all over again. He gets ambushed every freaking episode. This is not the same character, folks. My dear sailors and Starnauts, he's not recognizable as Nick Fury in this. He is pathetic. Captain's Log, previously on the Captain's Cast live stream, live every Thursday and Sunday with me, Captain Garrett. And I cannot believe how much this show wants to whine and moan and whine about racism. You would think that Russia is just wall to wall, the ultimate, it is pure KKK in that country. Oh my God, I'm getting this stream is so demonetized. I don't know what's going to happen. It's like every other scene, they have to mention the fact that he's a black man in Russia, and Russians don't like no black men. No, they sure don't. They don't. Indiana Jones, they're Nazis because Nazis like to Nazi. And it's like in Secret Invasion, it's like Russians, they hate black people. Didn't you know there's a black man on the streets? Get him! And then I have to listen to Don Cheadle and Nick Fury whine together about being black men who've been held down their whole damn life. And sure, they're superheroes, but screw all that. That they've been held down by mediocre men. Let me play a little clip for you.
The world is on the line. The enemy is 1,000,000 times more dangerous than Hydra, but they can only be vanquished by you, alone.
Hat tip clips, King.
And you want me to make the power mean something by helping a brother out. But you should know better than most. The reason we wrestled this power from mediocre men who don't look like us was not simply to turn around and hand it to mediocre men who do.
First of all, I hope this gives you a taste of how circular the dialogue is in this show. It just circles and circles back on itself over, and it's like this is like Kamala Harris dialogue here. They say a lot. They say nothing by saying a lot. And you're meant to be like, oh, I'm watching a Jason Bourne type thriller because it's super hard to follow what they're saying. But I wanted to pause it to tell you that this is directly following him saying, look, let's face it, Nick Fury says, guys that look like us, we had to fight for every position we got over mediocre men. So what they are implying is that any white man that is in a position of power is just almost by default less talented and less skilled and less deserving than they are, but they're in that position because of my racism. Is this what Rhodey thinks of Tony Stark? Does Rhodey think that the reason he's not like, a general instead of a colonel is because of Tony Stark? Does he think that Tony Stark built the Iron Man suit because he's a mediocre man who's white and that's why he has the Iron Man suit? Is that what Rhodey thinks? I'm just curious. Why is it that we were able to get through 3 phases of this universe and we never had to have this conversation with these characters? For once in our lives, we could go to a theater. And by the way, I went to movies with people of different races and different walks of life, and we were all able to enjoy these films together. I have to say, I used to have conversations with people of all different races at my workplace about Marvel movies, and one of the things I enjoyed the most about it was how the subject of race was not in it. We could just talk about it. We could just talk about, oh, wasn't it cool when Nick Fury did this? Oh, wasn't it awesome when Cap did that? Wasn't it great when the Hulk tore apart that thing? And we were just fans. We were just fans. There was no color. There was none of this bullshit. We were just people enjoying our characters. We were building friendships over that. And it's like this shit is ruining that. This shit is shooting a hole through the camaraderie that storytelling can actually create between people of different races. With all due respect to Samuel L. Jackson and Don Cheadle, fuck you. You should be ashamed of yourself for this crap, for this garbage. Oh, you don't understand. You haven't walked in our shoes. Well, you know what? I haven't, and I don't care. Quite frankly, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this drivel. I'm sick of it. I don't care. Everyone in the world has problems. Everyone in the world has things that happen to them that are unfair. I am tired of hearing you losers whine about it. I've had it. And it's amazing to me. You are in this position, Mr. Cheadle and Mr. Jackson. You are in this position not because of mediocre men. You are not in this position because of how you look. You are in this position because of one thing and one thing only: fans. You are in this position because of fans of all walks of life who enjoyed, loved, and revered the characters you are pretending to be. And those fans put you in this position where you now are in the position of creating racial tension where none existed. And you are creating it between fans. You should be ashamed of yourselves. You should be ashamed. It's disgusting. This show turns my stomach. I go on.
Point of this power is to be uncompromising, to be unsparing, to be able to sit across from a man we greatly admire, with whom we share an entire professional, personal, ancestral history with, and to tell him without any reservation.
This is incredible to me. Don Cheadle is saying the honor and the respect and the ancestral history that you and I share. These characters have never had a conversation, by the way. Never. Does a shared ancestral history, is that what makes Tony Stark Rhodey's friend? Why are Rhodey and Tony Stark able to be friends? Why do they have this family connection, this brotherhood between them? There is never any discussion of any of this crap. Who is Nick Fury to Rhodey? Nick Fury is no one to Rhodey. That's why I find this dialogue so offensive. Tony Stark will always be more to Rhodey, and Rhodey more to Tony Stark, than Nick Fury would ever be to either of them.
History with, and to tell him without any reservation that he's fired. That's what this moment right here, right now is about, Nick.
He said you to fire me?
Nobody sent me. I volunteered. And not to put too fine a point on this.
This is this entire show, by the way. It is people sitting at bars drinking while Nick Fury gets browbeaten. And nothing happens. This show is nothing happening.
Move. Are you seriously under the impression that just because you stripped me of my titles, I relinquished my DNA?
Careful, Fury. And you wonder why you're out.
I'm Nick Fury. Even when I'm out, I'm in.
Wow. That was Shakespeare. Even when I'm out, I'm in. By the way, that is the most devastatingly effective he's been in this entire show. That little move he did where they put in that convenient crunching sound effect so you're supposed to believe he just broke the guy's arm.
Move. Are you seriously under the
what can I do? Oh, I can't do anything. Oh, I can't do anything. This is pathetic. Secret invasion. More like secret snore. This is from Onika the Traveler, a blog entry I just happened upon because I got curious. Every other scene in Secret Invasion, it is implied that Russians are they have got gangs of thugs just looking to round up all the black people. They say, no one's ever seen a black person in Russia before. Oh my God. Oh my God! Nick Fury, are you crazy? Are you insane? It's Russia. You can't be black and in Russia at the same time. It's not possible. That every scene, folks. Every scene. So I just got curious. I'm like, well, what do I actually know about racism in Russia? I don't actually know anything, I guess. I've never been to Russia. Maybe it is. Maybe it is the most racist place on earth. Just like Disney is the happiest place on earth, Russia's the most racist place on earth, I guess. So I just randomly found this blog post. Are Russians racist towards black people? My Experience by Onika Raymond. My experience is traveling as a black woman in Russia. And she gets to her questions that she gets a lot of the time. Is it true that Russians are racist toward black people? In order to understand why this question pops up so much, it's necessary to understand the history of African-descended people in Russia and former Soviet republics. I was surprised to discover that black folks have long had a presence in what was known as the USSR, according to this article. Hundreds of African Americans traveled to the region between 1920 and 1930 in an attempt to make a better life for themselves, as well as to escape the economic strife and racial persecution they faced in the USA. Blacks from the African continent weren't far behind. This article explains that they relocated to the Soviet Union in large numbers, recruited by officials promising a free university education. The social climate for black people at that time was thus good, with skilled black laborers and professionals often receiving red carpet treatment in the form of enviable salaries and subsidized housing. This contrasts sharply with recent depictions of race relations in Russia. A quick Google search reveals articles about hostility against blacks across the country. So, what was her experience? The short version. I had no issues at all during my time in Moscow and St. Petersburg. In fact, I was treated exceptionally well. I got a lot of love from local people, and this was shocking to me based on what I'd heard and read about race relations in Russia. Here are some examples of the encounters I had in Moscow that stuck out to me the most. Russian people, unsolicited, approached us, her and her husband, on the street, on the subway to offer help with getting around. Moscow's subway can be daunting, as all the signage is in Cyrillic alphabet, and most guidebooks and maps have the station's names written in Roman characters. At times, we struggled, but never had difficulty receiving assistance. On one occasion, seeing the look of puzzlement on our faces, a gentleman stopped and, despite his halting English, took 5 minutes to point us in the right direction. Another experience, the elderly lady in the subway car who smiled at me and patted the seat adjacent, beseeching me to sit down beside her. The security guard at the Europesky Mall, who, upon discovering I was from Canada, engaged us in an animated discussion about his love for my country. He once lived and worked in Nova Scotia. The young man in the Adidas shoe store who treated me with care and provided me with exceptional service. He thanked me for visiting his country and implored me to explore more of it. He also lamented the fact that Russians have a reputation the world over for being bad people. The older man in the same shoe store who came from the other end of the shop to tell me which shoes to buy. There was one comment that stood out to me that I just want to point out. The thing, so what they're referring to is like going to rural areas. Like, are rural areas going to be more racist or not? And this person says, the thing is not of being a colored person. In smaller cities, people may be hostile to you just for being a foreigner, even though you're from Moscow, for example. It's not about the color. It's about the wealth of the smaller cities. They hate you as a person with possibilities they don't have. The color of the skin just gives a good marker that you are not local. Again, they can hate all non-locals, even other Russians. It's not about the skin color. Samuel L. Jackson and Don Cheadle and the writers of this piece of crap, this turd, they should be ashamed of themselves for what they're doing. It's not just that they're turning it into a lecture and dividing people. It's the fact that the only reason they are here is because they were coasting on how awesome the Phase 1 and Phase 2, and a little bit less so, but Phase 3. Now it is just another vehicle for their woke bullshit. Well, I am tired of it. I don't care. We can acknowledge problems where they exist. We can acknowledge issues, but this constant whining, it's boring. We all have problems. And something that helps lighten the load, something that helps take some of those problems off our shoulders is when we can watch a movie together, as a country, and just enjoy it, no matter where our ancestors originally came from, and not think about this shit for a while. It's like that's what Marvel was doing for us for 3 whole phases, and that party is over. And the ratings are a reflection of that. You know, when Don Cheadle says mediocre white men are the people we're in competition with, and we're so brilliant and we're so great, you are implying that the morality and the heroism of Steve Rogers is somehow unearned. You are implying that Tony Stark, the genius inventor, somehow is less deserving of his success. You are implying that all these characters that we love, there is a taint on them. We can't be talking about, oh, wasn't it so cool when, Black Panther said this line about the world is not done with you yet? Wasn't it so cool when Tony Stark had to fight Captain America because of the death of his parents? Do whatever you want. This show is dog shit. The mission will continue on the Captain's Cast live stream with me, Captain Garrett, on the Swords and Starships channel live every Thursday and Sunday, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss it, and I will see you in the chat out there. Make sure to give me a follow on Locals at swordsandstarships.locals.com. It's free to follow and direct message me on Locals, and this will help defend against YouTube censorship and allow me to maintain a direct connection with you. The mission of this channel is to build a fellowship of sci-fi, fantasy, and action-adventure fans who prize freedom of speech and artistic expression above all. And if you choose to support the channel with a paid membership, there will be even more exclusive content in store, and I would certainly be honored to earn your support. Until then, hail to you, hail to the fellowship, and hail to the Iron Age of entertainment.